Hello. I think everything is working. I feel like I haven't done this in 30 years. It's been a long week. How's everybody doing today? We got people from Sydney, Australia. We got people from Missouri. I am very excited for this episode. We're going to go to some dark places, I'm sure. I'm very curious about everything that's going to happen in tonight's episode. So the mic is on, the ads are on, everything apparently is going well. Hey, thank you for showing up to the pre-show. We do this every Thursday right before Critical Role. I've been covering Critical Role for the last 10 years, since Campaign 1, whether it was at D&D Beyond or D&D, or just doing my own thing on my own personal YouTube channel, which is actually how I started covering Critical Role in the first place. And you're on that YouTube channel right now. I do interviews with the cast of Critical Role from time to time. I sometimes review cartoon series like the Mighty Nine, and I cover a lot of Daggerheart and D&D. So thanks for everyone for showing up. We've got some brilliant critters, as always, in chat tonight. If you have any questions, if you're new to the channel, shout yourself out. There's a lot of good theory crafting. And yes, I got a new job. I am working at D&D in the Castle. On top of everything else, I'm still consulting with different companies and all that kind of stuff. So YouTube channel is doing really well. That is largely in part to everyone here. And I just wanted to say I appreciate you. I hope everyone's having a good day. I'm all hopped up on green tea. So this is going to be an interesting day. We got a lot to cover. I'm not sure we have a lot to cover. I think we're going to have a lot to cover after tonight. Because I think things are going to get pretty crazy. That's my assumption. So, yeah. We're about to find out is what's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and put a goal in Super Chat. But, I mean, we are right up against the darkest possible thing that could happen. Oh, yeah, my voice is doing better. It's going to probably be deep forever, but it's been a journey to get my voice back for sure. So where do we do this? Oh, very interesting. Okay. I feel like things got moved around on me on YouTube, but I'm probably wrong. I'm wrong. That's okay. There we go. Brilliant. All right. We got a super chat. We'll do 45 minutes. We keep streaming. I hope everyone's doing well today. I think this is one of our more anticipated episodes. I also suspect, not that. I know exactly. I know what you're saying. Whew, what a weird episode. What weird direction we got. It's pretty exciting. So, thank you, Manchester, UK. Oh, man. The Critical Role F Castle. That started going down a weird direction last week, for those that don't know. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers in this chat as we talk about the previous episode for a recap and everything else. It went to a strange and weird place, but I kind of feel like they had to get there with all the weird insinuations that were coming off of Julien, in my opinion. It seemed completely plausible, and honestly, after the conversation and the cooldown, may still be plausible. But yeah, it was a very RP heavy episode for sure. Some real fun banger NPCs as usual coming from Brennan, Mulligan. But a lot of like just the characters interacting with each other and reacting to the environment. It was a good place to take a break before they go into a very dark world. And I'm very curious to how things go here. So we'll do a recap pretty soon in a couple of minutes. Let me know if there's any other things you want to talk about. And I thought we might do a little character building as well, maybe during this game, using Daggerheart. If we were making a character using Daggerheart that would fit into this campaign, I thought that would be kind of fun to do. But we'll see. So, yeah, thanks for showing up. We got 38 viewers already in chat. You can always support the stream with super chats, and that's always well liked. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, be active in chat, and honestly, the biggest thing you can do is share it with other critters, people who are waiting to watch Critical Role. This is a really positive space for people to hang out, talk about theories, what's going to happen in the cold open. Yeah, I suspect I see Ariel and chat again. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we got some kind of Murray cold open at this point. It's been a minute since we've seen Murray, so I think we are kind of, by process of elimination, getting pretty close. People called Luis and Azune. I think we all did for some reason. We all locked in onto that one particular thing. We do have, yes, it was mentioned in the cooldown that we only have 2 more sessions. Because of that, I suspect that after this session, they're going to level up their characters, which makes perfect sense because we may be seeing some pretty gnarly combat. So I would expect a Wednesday 20-minute cooldown to 30-minute cooldown. I mean, not cooldown, but character build episode like we saw last time, unless they didn't feel that was successful enough in some weird way. And then I think then we get our final episode for the Seekers table, and then we move over to the Schemers finally. I think that's how this is probably going to run. I do not think it's going to be Azune again in the cold open. I think that would be pretty wild, Mark Stewart. But pretty cool. But boy, that was, I don't know if I can take a more heartbreak from Azune. But that's just me. So thanks everyone for showing up. Hope everyone is doing good. We can do a real, how many people we got in chat right now? We got 48 people. We don't have 100 yet. We're not quite at our beginning. So let me hit refresh just in case. I'm curious about the orchard. I'm kind of glad because like NPCs can eat up a lot of room at the table, so having Aranessa finally leave was probably for the best. It's distracting. I'm a little curious like how central Octus is going to continue to be to this plot line for the Seekers, because he is kind of like the MacGuffin of the party, right? Because he's been resurrected, and so much kind of hangs around Octus. We have an entire house that cares very much about Octus. The Tachonis family is trying to hunt him down. On top of this, we've got any druid who runs into him is pretty concerned about the fact he's undead. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So we're at 419. Let's go ahead and just dive into our recap. All right, if everyone's cool with that. So we had this really great cold open that was having to do with the Azune's kind of sacrifice. It was a flashback to when he was 12 years old. Azune and his sister, Mayela, are being recruited by the Gallows Choir mercenaries. He really pushed himself to the brink of exhaustion. He initially failed and they didn't want to take him. But then eventually his sister actually convinced them to let him try again. He also convinced them to let him try again. And then they took him and they figured they could pawn him off onto somebody else. And that's exactly where Azune actually ended up, is somewhere else within the organization. His parents were starving. They had some very kind words. They were having trouble feeding their own children, so it was a very sad moment, but very proud of Azune. And Azune did not want to leave, but it was just one of those scenes where the family is too poor to sustain the children themselves, so best to find, honestly, work for the children in some manner, like knowing that they will have a roof over their heads, knowing that they will have food. The tragedy may become... the Gallows Choir is a completely awesome name. You can't beat Gallows Choir. That's pretty strong. We had another flashback that happened in the middle of the game with Vaelus. Vaelus shared a memory of her siblings, Arthas and Meowin, reflecting on time before her life was defined by like where she is right now, where she's kind of grim and extremely devoted. But we found some interesting, charming things, her sister riding in on a unicorn, she called her her sister called her a bitch, and then she got knocked off the unicorn because it's now canon that you cannot say that word while riding on a unicorn. And then couldn't the healing magic wouldn't work on her sister because the elven goddess was not approving as well, which was an interesting moment of kind of a finicky micromangy, obsessive look at the elves. The fact that it went down to a couple of elven children, and the goddess of the elves still cared about how they were conducting themselves and was willing to be withholding with healing magic. And I think the withholding of healing magic is interesting. This is our first moment, I think, where we've seen the gods refuse to heal someone through another person. And that's not something you often do in D&D because it kind of takes away agency from the cleric itself. Because if you're playing a cleric, but it is done in the novels because that's the whole point. Clerics are getting their magic from gods. It's pretty kind of dark to be doing, especially not to heal another child. And I think that kind of weaponizes Vaelus in some way into her fanatical belief. Cassius, thank you so much for the super chat. Gallows choir is good. Gallows stand up is better. That's pretty funny. Yeah, 100%. Hey, why aren't you letting me like your? It's a bit odd. Oh, bizarre. 1 second. I see what's going on. I think I see what's going on. I somehow got signed out of my own YouTube channel randomly. So, apologize. Unintentional. How could I be intentional about that? So, absolutely weird. I don't think I've ever seen it do that midstream. Oh, first time for everything. We'll get back to it. And here we go. Perfect. Okay. Cool. Bizarre. I mean, at least the stream's still going. Yeah, we had a lot of internet issues actually today, so I was really afraid I was not going to be able to do the stream. We got into some stuff with Octus. He's struggling with the death of his brother Franz. He didn't really know Franz. He talks about that, theorizing that his own family sacrificed Franz because he was considered unimportant. I don't think that the Tachonis family in general care much for their children, given the fact that how they treated Octus himself. And he's not very close to any of his other siblings as well that I'm aware of. So it's, again, a continuingly dark perspective on Octus's family. Octus sounded a little bit more nefarious here at the end of the episode and how he kind of spoke to people. There was kind of a darkness there at the end. Certainly talking to an NPC, but it was darker than normal. It's something I noted for sure. Oh yeah. So yeah, Ariel's departure, the aerial departure, the Seekers escaped the Tachonises via a sky carriage, which I loved, and I believe this giant snowy eagle was Altradler, a giant snowy eagle who was chronically sleepy, did not wish to be woken up, and they didn't even put on the safety harness or safety ropes on the eagle, but they did coax this hilarious NPC that felt like it was right out of a Jim Henson novel into flying them to the location. Didn't really want to fly at night. There was a bit of a mid-air battle happening as they flew. The druids Amada and also Hannah, they battled the Tachonis spirits that were in the sky using weather control and lightning and provide cover for the group's escape. Pretty scary stuff, really. You don't want to be dropping from that height. I've actually, unfortunately, I've had a few characters who died that way, who were in my games because they made the wrong choice. And, I mean, maybe they could have felt their fault, but it would have been sad to see the eagle die. They did get a couple of magical boons. They received several druidic charms, including the Walker's Ward, which is a nice kind of, it helps prevent scrying on Octus specifically, so that's great. And then we had the Embers of Arask, which clearly seem to be intended, I feel like, from Brennan Mulligan to be inserted into the... I'm forgetting the name of the weapon. Technically she's using it as a whip, but it's a sensor. So they're like little coals, basically, that can ignite inside the sensor. Certainly you can, like, try to shoot them. The only real purpose of these is to be put in the sensor and kind of upgrade the magical item that I feel Ashley Johnson is using, really, because whips are really terrible in D&D, actually. They're 1d4, and they're even worse in life. I actually just watched a whip video specifically about how terrible whips are for doing damage of any type. Certainly everyone likes the fantasy of a whip. I also learned how to use a whip once when I was a little kid. Wildly ineffective. Shocking sounding, but ineffective. So they did arrive at Castle Torch, where this is where the fun began. I got a couple of super chats. Let me get to that. I forgot the heart Cassius is. Haley 4560s. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Hi Todd, I'm building an arcane trickster rogue. Any suggestions for cantrips and low level spells? Happy Thursday. So this is pretty cool. Arcane trickster rogues, I believe, now only take spells from the wizard spell list, which means they're no longer restricted to enchantment and illusion, I believe, in 2024. If you're a rogue, I wouldn't say no to having shield, because your AC is also already going to be a little healthy because of your dex. I still think shield is pretty important. Cantrips, I don't know if your dungeon master is allowing things like, sword burst, like green flame blade or booming blade. I noted that they were not in the 2024 core rule books. Those are very important cantrips. Can layer onto your sneak attack damage. I think those are pretty happy as well. Are you at level 1, Haley, 4560? I can better answer it. Magic missile is always nice if you just absolutely cannot hit your target. And sometimes if you're using a ranged spell, not getting sneak attack from it, sometimes you're desperate. True Strike is definitely better than it was. Though you can already, as a rogue, use the bonus action to get advantage to an attack roll, so I don't know if True Strike is necessary. But that's just a couple spells off the top of my head. Illusion is always extremely helpful for arcane tricksters. I think the telekinetic feat is still in the 2024 player's handbook, and I believe if you take it, it would extend your arcane trickster's legerdemain magic hand a further 30 feet. I have to take a look, and that could be pretty clutch. Having a telekinetic hand is pretty massive. So we could get back to this super chat. Actually, we could dink around and try to figure out some optimal build. I love arcane tricksters. They're great ninjas. They're great at infiltration. They're one of the most functional rogues out there. Certainly, you're not going to be lining up damage like most classes, but there's a lot of utility, a ton of utility, and I always am looking out for an environmental kill as well when it comes to being an arcane trickster rogue. So things can be fun. You can unscrew the hinge off of a chandelier and hit an enemy, that kind of stuff. Mark Stewart, I think you have a different. I don't know if you have a different image there. Thank you so much for the super chat. Octus and Wick both are black sheep. Yep, and of their respective families, and each are becoming keys to unlock an upcoming war. Yeah, it would be weird. It'd be interesting to see Octus and Wick to be in the same group for some time, because there's probably going to be some bizarre bonding, but also with different personalities on top of everything else. So that could be a fun pairing for sure. Any other super chats? We do have at Todd Kenrick. I don't think you have ads on for the portrait view of the stream. Oh yeah, it gets weird when you do dual streams. That's probably true. I will go ahead and check that. Saving now. Why would I want to schedule? All right. Perfect. Thank you for letting me know. I really appreciate you. That stuff always helps. I'm a one-person band right now, so wow, we almost got 100 people already, and it's 4:31. I think a lot of people are anticipating this episode. I think this one's going to be a banger. Let me know how you like those thumbnails. They're pretty cheesy, but they're the best I can do. Let's see. What else do we have going on? So that's the super chats. They discovered that. I skipped ahead a little bit. So the team does arrive at Castle Torch. It's the headquarters of the Barrow Guard, really banger name also, who defend the world against the horrors of the Barrow Dells. It's kind of coded for Game of Thrones and the Great Wall there. So they're kind of defending everyone from the Eternal Night, the graveyard of the fallen sun god Tansul. So we can expect a lot of undead. It's going to be pretty Shadowfell coded out as well. If you were in Baldur's Gate, there's a very specific area that is kind of like tainted by the Shadowfell in that particular area. So I think this is going to be spooky stuff. They do reveal that the Tachonis twins did visit a couple of weeks prior, and they tricked Dame Gaia Sarame into sending the 3rd Battalion, including Allogar, into this dangerous undead overrun zone at Tanisar, which they've been seeing kind of the visions of their son being there. It was all under false pretenses. They weren't strictly following orders, so that person got dismissed. Commander Phaedron released Dame Saramali of her station for her negligence, and she is ordered to join the Seekers and to reclaim her honor. So we've picked up another NPC. I don't know if this NPC is going to make it. Lady Aranessa then basically decided to leave and head north to the Golden Orchard, her family's former home, to investigate what was happening there. The Seekers mission, Julien, Octus, and Thaisha, Vaelus, and Dame Saramai ride towards the Eternal Night to intercept the 3rd Battalion and rescue Allogar. Vaelus is a little suspicious, despite not really having any evidence of some lying, and remains deeply suspicious of Aranessa, believing that she's harboring a massive, painful secret, is what we basically got all of it out of it. And that's it. You know, that's kind of the rundown of what we found out. It was, certainly a slower episode, but a build up to something super scary and super dangerous, I feel. Oh, Mark Stewart, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. The question of the Seekers is, what shape will they find Thaisha's son alive, or will it be a tragedy? It could be a tragedy. I feel like a lot of people have not died. I think this could get pretty rough. I'm wondering if Octus has plot armor. I've been very curious if a character like Octus, if Octus's death could be the thing that destroys the membrane between the living and the dead. I wonder if Octus is too much of a plot armor feeling type of character in this universe. If he could potentially die in the next episode. This is a very dark campaign, by the way, when you really think about it. So far, there's been very few moments of true levity. Certainly plenty with the soldiers' table and anything having to do with the Fae. The Seekers' table, and they kind of brought this up in the cooldown as well. This is the first time the Seekers' table went from running to actually seeking for a change. I think once they get to this shadow area, things are getting rough. Very quickly, I expect we were going to see combat, and then we'll see maybe fallout of that combat, knowing that they have 2 episodes. This one also could go pretty long, depending on the combat. So, yep, it's also stormy there as well. It's going to be a rough time for everyone concerned. This could be one of those episodes where a character dies. I know we're all on character die watch. I am a little bit too, and I think this is right about where we're all kind of wondering, will a character die? So maybe we're feeling a little too safe right now as to the state of all the characters. I know I am a little bit, if you know what I mean. I've been watching another TV show that is Game of Thrones related, and I got a little too safe feeling about that show as well. So this is, we're on episode 16. I could see a death. It's a dark realm to be. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed the recap, Mark Stewart. If Thaisha was involved in bringing Octus back, then maybe she can do the same to her son. That was using the elf song, so I don't know that that will be applicable. Though reincarnating her son after his death would be interesting, but she's not powerful enough to do that, so she could be talking to, she could go to one of the circles of the druids to bring her son back. Hey, Thunderated. Hey, Todd. First time tuning in. What are your thoughts on Vaelus calling that insight check into Aranessa's last episode? That peeked behind the current of Brendan's persuasion roll. Yeah, I think, and they commented this about the cooldown as well, is that it's not necessarily, Aranessa has a secret that is not necessarily so nefarious that is of ill intent. As I got the impression from how Brennan described this, it could be that Aranessa does know why. Maybe the Aranessa knows that the Feywild is completely closed off because of one specific reason. Aranessa may not be divulging how dire their circumstances are. I think Aranessa has a dark secret that she is keeping, but not with ill intent. Though the ultimate results of whatever secret that Aranessa is keeping could be damaging to the party, even though that might not be intentional. So maybe not revealing everything that's truly been going on. That's my kind of feeling right now. That's kind of my rundown. So yeah, I am, something is off with Aranessa, and I'm not shocked. We're building up characters. We'll see what where this goes. Looking at chat right now. For some reason, the Tachonis do not seem to view Aranessa as a threat. Yeah, that bothers me a little bit too. And that also I think they brought that up in the cooldown as well. That they were more interested in grabbing Octus than anything having to do with Aranessa. So, for them not to see Aranessa as a threat feels like other things have occurred. And Aranessa is not nearly as powerful, or frankly, anyone related to the Fae at this point. Something's going on, and something feels increasingly darkly inevitable. My issue is, I feel like the Tachonis sisters feel pretty smart in comparison to Tyranny's sisters. So here's my examination of events. Why would they want Thaisha's son to go into this realm to go fight? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like the Tachonis sisters, these twins, have specifically set up events so that this group of seekers will go to this location. I don't think this was always their plan. I think they're aware who Tachonis may be with, and they are luring Octus Tachonis into this area, into this trap, because they know Thaisha's with him, and they know that... oh yeah, you have missed the recap. And it was Octus that got the vision. Am I correct? Octus is the one who saw the vision of her son, potentially in this area? Yeah, the sun is very specific. So, and I don't think it's by accident that the sun is with this group that's gone into this shadowy area and this storm. So I think that is with the intention of luring Thaisha and by connection, Octus into this area. What happens when Octus shows up into a big undead, basically was an undead realm for all intents and purposes, a shadowy undead type of world. Yeah, Hal is also his father. So it's not luring Hal. I think it's because of the party. I don't think it has anything to do with who is actually the father or the mother of him. I think it has to do with who's in the party and how to get them to go. So yeah, everything to do with Octus is against their plans. Octus is the foil to their plans, except for this one bit. And that's my concern is, well, they did this a week ago to try to get him there. And then they had a vision, which I guess the vision was about a week ago as well, right? So was the vision a future portent, or what was it? What was happening to him right at that moment? And how did that vision occur? Because it's been a minute since I remember the episode. Yeah, Julien is got more sus stuff. And I did know in the cooldown and just all of them talking like they had a lot of interactions in the group that were really fantastic. But they are all mentioning they have so many things that they need to reveal to each other, and that they've never had a chance to sit down and talk as a group, and that they're not necessarily really a group right now. They're still a bit at odds with each other, but maybe we'll see some kind of interconnection. I think a lot of them have dirt on each other or have done terrible things to each other unknowingly. So I don't know. Yeah, was the plan to send the sun into the dark realm? How many? So he said like a week ago that they set up them going into this area. And I feel like it's only been 4 days. This is now we know they've just arrived at the castle, and it's candle feast. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the timeline on that. And also, if they're that powerful, they might have. I mean, if they want Octus to end up here, this might be the manipulation of events. Well, if they're divination wizards. I mean, but they're sorcerers, so we know that for sure. So that doesn't really wash. Yeah, the vision was Thaisha's son facing a horde of undead. And there are a bunch of pillars as well. So it was 1 week ago. Has it been 1 week since that vision is my question. Was it truly a vision? I don't know. I feel like this could all be a trap. How hard did the sisters truly try to stop them? Could so much of this be for show? I don't know. I think we're going to find out. And wouldn't it be wild? Again, I'm waiting for someone to be a betrayer within these groups. I think that would be amazing. Maybe Octus wasn't supposed to see this. Divination, Necrosorcerer. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, okay, so the vision was longer than a week ago. It doesn't mean that wouldn't be any less applicable. So yeah, the vision was of Octus's resurrection, so I guess there's kind of a weird connective tissue there of, well, so Octus has been resurrected, that's going to set in motion a series of events because of that. So that's just something I've been noodling on. I feel like the Seekers are constantly running. We are calling the closet Shovel from Baldur's Gate. Inkspittle. Yeah, so I'm a little suspicious of everything that's going on right now. It's gonna be rough going in this location. We know there's gonna be undead. I really suspect combat's. I think I'm all but 100% combat's gonna happen. I think they'll probably get stuck mid-combat, and that combat could carry over into the following episode, which makes sense if they like start leveling up right in the middle of combat. Might be cool. So yeah, we got 140 people in chat right now. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate all of you. Let me know. You should, if you're new to chat, sound off in chat and let people know your theories. Your ideas as to what's going on right now. This is just kind of a place where we warm up to watch Critical Role's episode every Thursday. It's a real fun time. We've been doing it since the beginning. Just a few episodes here and there because of life stuff, but we're having a good time. I also, at some point, Octus will have to use the stone. Yeah, I agree. So I wonder if Octus eventually becomes a character that has to do with the sacrificial play. There is a plot line semi-similar to Octus in the way that there was in Dragonlance there is a character who is called the Everman, who is tied to a god because of a gem, fused to his chest. Todd for president. That's funny. In the vision for Octus, saw also he said there's the literal an army amount of Tachonis undead standing against one orc with a barrow guard symbol. Yeah, it's pretty much him. How do you feel about leveling up in the middle of combat? I don't mind it. The way they're doing it, as long as you know what you're going to do, that's not a problem for me. So it can feel like more of a character moment. I know a couple times it just felt like it just kind of happened. But kind of fun. Am I the only one here watching this on a Friday? Where are you in the country right now? In the world? Todd Kenrick, Octus is Gale. No, yeah. Octus could be an undead nuclear alarm. Yeah, from Flotsam. Yeah. Old school. Trippy plotline for the middle of Dragonlance. Yeah, pre-prepared. I like the pre-prepared nature of that, and it allows you to have like kind of a heroic moment in the middle of combat when all is lost. We've got a couple of mechanics like that I'm quite enjoying. Ah, you're in Tokyo. Wow, that's so cool. Haley 4560. Where are you from? That Tachonis family is nasty. You guys are from the future. We got 150 people now in chat. That's crazy. That's all I have to say about that. I'm gonna check on something. You're in the Netherlands? We got people from all over in this chat. That's amazing. We got plenty of Australians. Someone in South Africa is wild. Yeah, people in this chat are from everywhere. It is a very diverse chat. Since you're from the future, will something happen to Todd? No. That's so dark. No, I hope not. Thank you, though. Good lord. And what was the plan to the location where Thiazi was going after who was rescued? I'm not quite sure. Yeah. Friday morning here in Scotland. I love Scotch eggs. I don't know if people in Scotland actually like Scotch eggs, but I was converted. I was converted while I was over there in London to eating Scotch eggs. There's no really good place to get them here in the U.S., and they're too much of a pain in the ass to cook. That's one of my issues. Wisconsin is kind of exotic in its own way. Bidet from Montevideo, Uruguay. Wow, that is crazy. Yeah, it would be wild if this was all a nefarious ploy to get Octus there. That's my weird paranoid theory. It may not end up being true. Man, what if Aranessa... That would be really dark if Aranessa left because this was part of the plan, and somehow an Aranessa was, in fact, involved. That would be disturbing. I really enjoyed the castle. The castle was hilarious. I love the weird back and forth with Matt and Aabria as to whether Julien had slept with her son. The fact that he had taught him to drink and everything else was pretty funny. It was a good moment. It was a good character building moment for Thaisha and also Julien. Do we trust the Knight of Ceremate? I mean, it was the Knight of Ceremate that specifically screwed up. So maybe not? Maybe the Knight of Ceremate was a plant. I mean, that is entirely possible as well. Yeah, we've got a couple bars I think that have Scotch eggs. I've just never had a Scotch egg in the U.S. Yeah, I agree. So remember, this all comes down to the Thjazi grabbing the stone to bridge between the living and the dead, potentially, or to play some type of fight in the undead war. Thjazi feels like something super is going on, so he was actively trying to get artifacts and devices that would help. I'm sorry if I'm ruining your day by making you suspicious of Aranessa. Is my apologies. Is not my intent. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. I don't know what I feel like. I feel very safe with the show right now, which has me at heightened paranoia. At the same time, if that makes sense to anybody at all. So. Why am I not seeing the option to pull chat out? One second. How strange. It's got to be here. One second. Just fixing stuff. There we go. A couple of settings are off. Pop out chat. And I can put this in a more readable location for me. Thank you so much, everybody, doing super chats. Like, subscribe, let other critters know that we have this nice, fun little hang pre-show. That's always helpful. I think Aranessa's secret is she made the decision to close the door to Fairy. Yeah. Yeah, what if the door to Fairy, what if the Fairy realm would have been threatened if the door had been left open by a future incursion of undead into this world that they could then travel into the Feywild? What if this is a shuttering of locations that the undead could swarm into, and that is part of the plot line? I feel like, again, an undead apocalyptic event is potentially going to happen in this show. I think we're constantly being talked about the thinning of the membrane between kind of the prime material plane and the Shadowfell or the world of undead. It feels like we're in a real dangerous place, at a very precarious place, and this is kind of, I feel like episode 16 is where we could start seeing some pretty dang serious mic drops in terms of what is going on in this universe. There's more going on in the underworld for sure. I mean, Thjazi could be in the underworld fighting the good fight, or yeah, I mean, this is a very weird thing I've done a couple of times. I've killed an entire party of characters in the game and sent them to the underworld, and then that became the plot line. Chris Perkins actually mentions doing this, and it's actually brought up in the new 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide as well, where death does not have to be the end of a campaign. It could be that all the Seekers die, which would be dramatic, and then transition into the underworld, and they go on future adventures in the underworld, which would be pretty wild and dramatic. Though I feel like it's the underworld that's the threat to like enter this world. I just feel like I could be completely wrong that something big is going to happen in the next episode. It's just I feel like my spidey senses tingling, or may have had too much green tea, which can also cause paranoia of some kind. That insight check from Vaelus having to do with Aranessa was a little sus. I do like the idea that maybe Aranessa closed down the door to the Feywild to protect the Feywild from a sea of undead coming out from the underworld. I can see that potentially being an issue that we're looking at right now. Yeah. So I think that's totally valid. This is why I like doing this show with all of you, because we can kind of bounce ideas off of each other and like come up with different concepts. Death is only the beginning. The Mummy. I definitely feel like we're going to go get something like that. There's some big swerve. I feel like a big swerve's coming. I really do. And this kind of feels like Act 2, right? Oh, Mark Stewart, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Theory, Aranessa is the material playing queen of the fairy and had to sacrifice something big, and that could have been that House Royce, except to her, a prophecy from the fairy divulged it to her. That's a more rational theory than mine, and I could see that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's a very cool theory, Mark Stewart. Thank you so much. And don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to support more video content like this, I have a Patreon, obviously super chats, subs. Gifting other people subs in this chat is extremely helpful as well. That helps keep the lights on, helps us keep on making video content like this and doing interviews and stuff like that. And eventually probably have guests on the show as well, because I want to keep on expanding the show. I also thought that was a bit weird that Vaelus wrote specifically in Giant. Not quite sure what that was about. With Brennan, he is very good with changing or coming up with different things on the fly. I believe that might have cooked something up in the moment. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So that could have been improv having to do with Aranessa entirely because the role was so high, and it was an opportunity to give Aranessa some depth. And that's something to consider as well, that this isn't part of some kind of larger scheme by Aranessa. But the fact that Ashley Johnson and Vaelus were so interested in not trusting Aranessa. And, Brennan's like, why don't you trust Aranessa? And she kind of explains herself. And so I feel like he's rewarding that suspicion in Aranessa for the character itself and for the player, frankly. So that's a very common thing with Dungeon Master as well. Sometimes if a character in your game thinks something is suspicious, sometimes it's important to reward that kind of behavior and that kind of check. So I can sometimes be a little literal when it comes to that stuff, because I'm like, this NPC has nothing to hide, because I like that realism. But something about Vaelus's suspicion into Aranessa might have sparked something in Brennan to maybe create a new plot. Yeah, it was a 24. It's pretty high. Thank you so much, Treasure Elin. Member for 3 months. Roll with advantage. Thank you so much for being a member for 3 months. That's absolutely huge. Oh my God, it's been a quarter of a year. Don't say that. I cannot believe it's been a quarter of a year. That is crazy. Oh yeah, Ashley tried to bring up that letter right before they fled the castle. Yeah. Yeah. Who knows what she's been telling the elves? Todd, did you reach out to Luna Lebofin? I haven't been able to do so yet. I need to do that. I don't think they follow me, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. Oh, okay. So Aranessa rolled like a nat 20 persuasion deception on top of everything else. Interesting. Yeah, might all be a red herring. I don't know. Like I said, I have a bad feeling about this episode. I got the spookies. It feels very much like we are at Act 2. And as we all know, Act 2 is where things really go down. So we will have to see. Yeah. A little worried, a little bit worried, a little paranoid, but we'll see how it goes. We got 176 people already in chat. Thank you so much. And if you are new to the chat, please shout yourselves out. And also, the country and the city that you're from. We've got people from literally all over the world. Some people are in the future. On top of everything else, we've got people in Japan and all kinds of other places. So these people are great conspiracy theory critical rollers. So we always like to, before the show begins, and we're 2 hours out to the show, to just kind of theory craft what's going to happen in this episode. We do recaps about what has happened in previous episodes. And this is increasingly more important about this chat. Is not I can't remember everything that's gone on in the 16 episodes. So there's a lot of really important fact checking that's happening with everybody. So we can remember who knew what when. Does this align? It's very helpful. Welcome to chat. We've got Kevin Masor, new to chat in Spokane, Washington. It's my hometown. We got another member for 1 month, rolling with advantage. Hello, I am a fan from Melbourne, Australia. Have fun. Awesome. Thank you so much. Hi from Seattle, Washington. Obviously, I live in Seattle, Washington. Kentucky, aka Flop 85. We got theory. I also wonder if the people in the current village might be connected to Brennan's gnome NPC. That could be possible. Will we see the warriors' daughters? I am waiting for the daughters to show up. That would be pretty cool. We got a lot of new people in chat today. Let me just check on things in chat and all that other stuff. Do I have a price for DMing private games? I don't. It's definitely something I would consider to do, but I do not as of yet have a price for that. Sorry, just checking on stuff. Appreciate all you. Sorry for that coughing. Other fun stuff that happened today. Oh yeah, we got a really cool show that's coming from, the head of Titmouse Studios, where they have to draw their actions, and based off that, behind Beacon, they will have successes or failures. I think that's a really fun concept. We'll see how it sticks. I know it's coming from a group that has also done this before on their previous YouTube channels. I may have some interviews having to do with that, hopefully. I've certainly reached out, so it'd be great to talk to the cast, talk to the head of Titmouse about this really cool new live play show that's going to be behind Beacon. I think I'm glad they're coming up with a whole bunch of new content for Beacon and multiple live play shows. I think that's really fun. I didn't even remember what the system they're using. Are they using D&D? Because I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I am looking into that new show, something that could be really fun. And I'm glad to see experiments in the space of live play shows, because it's one of those things where we've got a really great dramatic shows coming from Critical Role, Dimension 20 really has the improv comedy stuff down. So it's I think everyone's got to do something a little bit new. And even my shows were pretty unique. I did kind of the Suicide Squad type of live play show that had like a 40-person cast, including Matt Mercer. That was pretty funny in the Spelljammer universe. And then I directed and produced the live play shows for Baldur's Gate that were live at conventions, and those did insanely well. So I'm always glad to see new people in the live play space, and I'm going to do whatever I can to elevate those folks. I think I'm seeing a lot of new and interesting concepts coming out. So, yeah, pretty excited. So the sketches are live drawn? Yeah, the sketches are live drawn on the show. That was a really good take you had on Eldritch Lorecast about elementals doing the same damage type. Yeah, thank you. It's yeah, so for those that don't know, I am also a host on the Eldritch Lorecast, and my hobby horse, or the thing that kind of annoys me, is when you're a thing and you do the damage of that thing. So if you're an elemental creature and you do water damage or cold damage, why? What? How are you doing that damage against other creatures that you clearly are almost completely similar to? It's like being a creature in a cold environment. Well, why? If you're an Arctic creature and other Arctic creatures are immune to like cold damage or resistant to it, why are you doing cold damage to anything? I'm a little worried to bring it up. Octus is a necromancer who has largely necromantic magic and necromantic damage potentially. Going up against undead, how effective will Octus truly be? Other than like Chill Touch has some advantages, I believe, against undead. How much advantage will Octus ultimately be in any kind of fight with the undead? Other than, you know, he doesn't have the ability to control them yet. Other than Undead Critter, which is a new spell that was written by Jeremy Crawford or Chris Perkins. So I'm always a little bit annoyed about creatures with resistances when it comes to stuff. This is why the Roraz actually really rules, because this makes the most sense in terms of it's doing a damage type against type. So yeah, Octus could be wholly outmatched in an environment where he's actually having to face undead. Eventually, necromancers do get the ability to ignore resistances to necromantic damage, but that comes later. So, yeah, it sucks to be the fire guy in a world that does fire. That is the most apt way to put it, right? Another way I put it is we have the Blood War, where demons and devils are constantly fighting in Avernus in the Nine Hells, and they both are doing fire damage to each other, so they're basically doing no damage to each other and just slapping each other around physically, and it's a fairly unimpressive battle when you consider that. So that's my hobby horse when it comes to fire elemental damage types, or any damage type really. That's my issue. Icy flames are cool. So yeah, that's what we kind of got up to on the Eldritch Lorecast about things that kind of rub me the wrong way. Because ultimately you're just kind of trying to shoehorn a way to take away resistances from other creatures at the same time. Yeah, the elemental adept feat can help with that, but like, okay, now we're trying to layer on other systems to get over this kind of conditions. Yeah, that's true, but that doesn't really account for like necrotic damage against undead. Yeah, certainly the elemental feat, but like, I don't know. Now, this is why it's great to be a sorcerer, because you can spend some sorcerer points just to turn your fireball into an ice fireball or a thunder fireball. And I do that all the time when I'm playing a wild magic sorcerer. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Love changing the damage type of my fireball because it's so evocative. I feel my blood temperature has already gone up just discussing this. That's the funny thing. I'm like, this is a really issue that we need to address in D&D. But yeah. So I'm excited for the new live play show. I think that's really cool. We've got a couple of new live play shows about to come out. But like Beacon's really becoming a hub for live play shows. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, Thunderball's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. And Thunder, I think, is the least resisted elemental damage type. Thunder is. So, also very effective. If you need a fireball to absolutely land, Thunder. So, this is why sorcerers are... I mean, there are a lot of reasons why sorcerers are extremely powerful. This is a super advantageous thing to have. Chromatic Orb's another great spell to get around resistances because you can change the type of the ball each time. So, yeah. Ooh, Wiccan Tyranny for the cold open would be pretty cool. I do feel like we've not been with Murray in a hot minute, so I would like to maybe see how Murray is doing. But yeah, now we got 191 people. Wow, we're going to get 200 in short order. That's really impressive. Thank you, everyone, for joining every Thursday. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for the super chats. Those that have been extremely helpful. Thank you, Mark Stewart. Goddess Laura as Imogen, changing Meteor Swarm into thunder damage. It's always a banger. Yeah. Turning Meteor Swarm into thunder damage is nasty, nasty, nasty business. We'll go and like. Yeah, Victor... Octus and Wick look not entirely dissimilar, but also opposite. Like they're almost a card. Oh, that's cool. In Dresden Files? So I haven't read the books. I did watch the TV series, which is very old, but I did enjoy that TV series quite a bit. You want Todd Kenrick as a guest player? Don't think that's ever going to happen. And I'd probably throw up right before the game. 1 second, just checking on stuff. All right. Okay. I like the Dresden Files. Yeah. So, yeah, again, I'm still suspicious of tonight. I think we could see some kind of dark things happening. Let me go ahead and just bring up some art. Really liking Julien. Really like the back and forth between Julien and Aabria. I thought that was pretty cool. And the weird tension about how her son is being taught and trained, I thought was pretty funny, on top of everything else. Really liking the little flashbacks into Vaelus' life. I think that's been really cool. Is it just me, or Alex Ward been role-playing Octus with more of a gravity in his voice recently? Yes, I also acknowledge it. So there's a couple of times where he gets increasingly menacing, and even in the last episode when he's talking to the NPC, he has more of a nefarious dark tone. And I don't know if that's an indication into Octus's character changing over time as he's undead. He's playing such a very innocent kind of young teenager in a way. And to see that character slowly... maybe slowly go dark and be part of the problem might be interesting. Oh, yeah, I'll check out... Yeah, I have tons of Audible points right now that I'm not using, so I will try to do that. If the books are good on audio tape, I'll listen to those. Yeah, I feel like Octus is becoming more and more undead. It would be sad if he like fully succumbed and was a bit like the ghoul in Fallout. But he's got a darkness to him that may increasingly become a problem. So, yeah. I just got a bad feeling about this episode. I'm gonna be happy to be wrong. And not like a bad episode. I mean, I love when stuff happens, but I feel like we've persisted too long on borrowed time to not have a tragedy. But again, we will see. We don't know. We got 184 people in Super Chat right now. Thank you so much. We got someone from Honolulu in chat. ANXO1661. Thank you guys all for the Super Chats, by the way. That's a ton. Did we run out of time, though? I do not know. The timer has ended. How do I start again? There we go. All right, we're back to it. My voice is still a little scratchy. It's been a couple of weeks. Certainly a cough has been going around. Other than that, I'm eating super healthy, which is super, I'm going all in on salmon and stuff like that. I don't know if that's relevant to the stream, but it's not. But feeling very super energetic. Overly so. Yeah, I do worry. I worry about Octus. I worry about everyone who's in the Seekers table. And again, I think next week we'll probably have a level up episode in between this episode and next week's episode. Still suspicious of Sam. I still don't trust Sam. But I'm definitely interested to learn more about how the demons are. The lore behind the demons and the lore behind the Candescent Creed, I'm dying to know more. That is so freaking weird. And that interaction with his grandma was amazing. Bringing this back up so I can see it better. Yeah, Octus and Bolaire interactions will also be very interesting. I think that too. No one trusts Sam, not even Sam. Accurate. Yeah, Gray's head splat was a bit of a tragedy, but we weren't so attached to that character. If that had been a main character who just got flat out splatted, Walking Dead style, I think it would be a little bit emotional, more emotional than Greta. That's a tough room, though. I feel like Octus is weirdly... So, yeah, I see you, Mark Stewart. I think Octus, after the demise of his brother, understanding his family's desire to get him to becoming very angry towards his family, anyone else who is considered a vassal, he is increasingly turning on his family, but boy, he's slow about it. I do eventually want to see Bolaire take over one of the players at the table. That would be hilarious. That would be so strange. Yeah, I mean, what if Bolaire suffused to Octus? He'd never need another body again. Todd Kenrick, you're likely right about the level up. I wonder who does what. I suspect we would see... I suspect we would potentially see Julien go another level in fighter to get to Echo Knight, to be thematic to kind of the subclass he's playing. Let me think about this. I think Aabria's going to go full druid. You want to get to those third level spells once you hit 5th, so she get to 4th and be one step closer. It's really hard being a caster and not being able to get to your 5th level spells. Who else? Who else? I'm trying to think if anyone has reasons to multi-class. Again, Octus being a full caster, I don't think it makes sense for him to diverge as a wizard. To like make it take longer for him to get to those third level spells. Third level spells are unusually strong. So that's kind of my read of it. And Ashley Johnson as a paladin, I don't know. It makes sense for her to move away from that path yet. In a narrative way for her to become like a fighter paladin. Though I don't see her necessarily even getting clerical powers because those don't exist now. So I think still going Vengeance Paladin. Yeah. Mark Stewart, thank you for the $5 super chat. Wild thought. What if Wick is a Tachonis? What? That is a wild thought. That was taken by the demons and placed in Halavar? Dude, that's psychotic. I mean, we do have the fact that Taor it seemed important to establish that Taor could have had his shadow taken and a demon sewn into him. Is it possible that's already happened to a member of the cast? Yeah. That would be interesting. I mean, that's one of those MacGuffins. Hub Trucks, thanks so much. Hal multi-class for sure. I could see Hal. I could see Halavar. Yeah, I could see. I could see Halandil Fang multiclassing, though. I think Liam loves the Bard. And I think it's the Bard College of Tragedy, so he may not be willing to do that as well. He could. I think he would just go College of Swords. No, he's not going College of Swords. Dude, Vaelus going Warlock would be wild, but that would have to be like, what entity did you mean? I don't think a pact with Octus, though that's pretty dark and interesting. Or if the elf song was speaking to her and she did a pact with the stone, the elf stone, that would be pretty wild as well. Something to consider. I will noodle on that. One second, just checking on stuff. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk Henrik. Some characters are going to change class completely due to the story or some big event. I think they always want this stuff to be narrative focused. So I think that's a big part of it. Let me know if my thumbnails are getting too silly looking on the show as well. My hair is certainly... I'm definitely having a hair day on the day I took that screen grab. So it was a lot. It was a lot. We have 201 people in chat right now. I appreciate you for showing up. It's a huge amount of show. Hey, everybody, if you can't like and subscribe, one of the best things you can actually do is to let other critters know that we do these chats right before the pre-show. I mean, this is the pre-show. Right before the show, where we just kind of talk about our different conspiracy theories and everything else and kind of get hyped for the show beforehand. We also have like tons of brilliant people in chat right now that are extremely welcoming and kind. And we riff off each other and come up with different ideas. And I'm going to be honest, I think we need to start keeping track of the ideas where we were right. I think we were getting right about a lot of things in the show together. And I feel like we need like a roster of we were right about all this stuff. I think that would be pretty fun. Because I think our combined brain power, because we usually end the episode between 300 and 500 people in chat. That's a lot of smart critters all coming up with ideas. So, yeah. Ooh, I would like to see more Orcish lore drops. I'd love to see the Daughters of the Gnome show up soon. Very curious about the Fae early warning system. I think Azune could totally multi-class. I agree with that. I think he could go a little bit Sorc for sure. And man, Taor too, right? Something could be there. Because Taor as a paladin, they mentioned that Fae magic that Taor might have. Can Taor do the warlock thing? Be a paladin warlock? That would be pretty interesting, actually. If he did Pact of the Fae and was a paladin himself, potentially interesting. It's always very powerful to do with smites if you go Sorkadin, because you can do fully leveled spells and really pump that into a smite. It's not as optimal as necessarily being a caster, but yeah, it's one of those things that could be happening for sure. I think we could potentially... Do I think we could lose Octus today? I do still. So for those who just are showing up to chat, I'm a little suspicious of the events that have led us to go into this realm, this realm. Not, I call it realm, but it's not realm. But this shadowy area, and the fact that potentially undead and Octus are going to interact. And was this all part of the plan originally to lure them here, using Thaisha's son? I mean, this. I still feel that kind of Act 2 energy that something could be amiss, something could be astray right now. My wife is letting me know that my streaming setup looks so good. My wife is very supportive. We had a very long... We had a really great Valentine's Day. And we got to see Ghost. And unfortunately, her boots injured her, so everyone give well wishes to my poor wife. I bought her new boots, and then she wore them for 4 blocks, and they absolutely destroyed her heels. I feel terrible. So, but we got to see Ghost, and that was an amazing concert. I was not prepared, because Megan, my wife, has been having us watch Ghost. I feel like since the beginning. I don't know if that's possible, but we've been watching Ghost for a long time, and we saw it in an arena, and it was not prepared how excited people were to see Ghost. And I think I was just caught off guard because in my mind we were going to go to a small little concert hall, and it did not turn out that way. And I've been to multiple Nine Inch Nails concerts because of Megan, and which I love Nine Inch Nails, but like, whoo, the Ghost crowd is intense and it's great. It was a good time. I was like a little taken aback though. I was like in shock. Yeah, it's terrible. Like, dude, boots that don't fit what they do to your heels are insane. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so tonight we could get some real Pal of the Bastards type energy coming out of this show. Yeah. Oh, hey, thank you, Hub Trucks. $1.09 super chat. The creature in the lower right corner is nuts. That is, we're affectionately calling him Shovel because I love Shovel and we all love Shovel from Baldur's Gate 3. It's a Quasit. And I'm going to let you know that I hated this thing. It's Megan who loves this thing, and so I kept him. But it took me, I would say, 2 years to feel comfortable with this ugly little thing hanging around. Yeah, I think a full 2 years until I was okay with him. It's so ugly. It's just the ugliest creature. Mark Stewart, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Always so giving. I appreciate you. I feel that after the last episode, Octus may just become the patron for Tachonis at the end of this. That's an interesting idea because we're just talking about Ghost. So would somehow Octus become the villain that they have to fight? Would Octus somehow become the Pope of the Tachonis family? That's totally plausible. Maybe they're just waiting for Octus to slowly change. How much of this is prophecy? Maybe they need the magic of a druid to turn the magic of a druid mixed with the magic of a necromancer to make something new and unholy in the world. That is certainly a plot line that we've seen in other media where we've got to mix clerical magic and arcane magic or druidic magic and necrotic magic to form this kind of abomination that is Octus. So, yeah. Again, I'm spiraling, but we are an hour and a half out. It's a good time to spiral. Speaking of that messenger got her head bashed in, smash the like and subscribe button. That's super important. Let everyone know you support the stream. I think Azune is going Paladin Sork. I agree. I think Azune may be Paladin Sork. I'm not quite sure what sorcerer he'd become. But yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. Octus may be a walking time bomb. I also agree. I think Octus could be the key to blowing a hole. Okay, here's the worst case scenario. If Octus is effectively a necrotic undead nuclear bomb, wouldn't you want Octus to go to the one? Oof. Okay, where would you start a war if you wanted undead? An insurmountable amount of undead or dead. Where would you want them to appear? Because there's already undead in this location. I'm forgetting the location name right now for some reason. Can someone help me out in chat right now? Or I can look it up. I know it was in my notes. So I have a weird conspiracy theory right now. Hunt this down. This is driving me nuts. I gotta know. No. Let's see. They're at Castle Torch with the Barrow Guard. But in the 3rd Battalion is who went in that they're chasing after. It's just called the Eternal Night. So, okay, say Octus, say this is all on purpose. And Octus Tachonis. Oh, thanks, Super Chat. Julien is a walking time bomb for sure. Thank you, Hub Trucks. Thank you so much for the Super Chat, Hub Trucks. That's how we keep the streams going. So say Octus Tachonis is a walking nuclear bomb. And there's a particular location that is the safest in all of this world for undead, which would be a place where the sun god died and there is no light. Then, given that, if you would want Octus to go off and make a tear between this world and the world of the dead, would it not be in the Eternal Night? Wouldn't that be the location you want Octus to activate and tear a hole? Because once all those undead spill out, they'll be protected from the light of the sun. They'll be in a very positive place for undead. And that's a great staging ground for them to rush into the rest of the world. So, is this all manipulation by the sisters of the Tachonis family to drive them to this location. Because again, why have Thaisha's son with this 3rd battalion? Why manipulate them to go into this area unless to draw Octus and the rest of the Seekers to that location because they know Thaisha's son is part of the group in a sense. So that's my primary concern, is that this is all a Tachonis scheme that's very like 4D chess, or a reaction to the fact that the Octus got away. Because if the realm of the dead opens up in this location because of Octus, it's just going to be a complete shit show, and it'll be an apocalyptic event. So that's kind of why I got. I've run games where there's a sea of undead. So I actually had I actually ran a game. It's called Beyond Heroes. It was called a lot of things, but it's called Beyond Heroes. And the very first arc was a cleric, an elven cleric who opened up a portal to the last world she destroyed, an elven goddess, and that entire world was all undead, just teeming with undead. The entire planet was this plotline. And she then opened a portal to this other world, which was the heroes' world, and undead were pouring out of that portal as well from this world. And that was like the main plot, and it was called the Sea of Undead, and they were trying to figure out how to stop this ocean from happening. And they slowly realized, like, we don't have enough dead people here to even create an ocean this big. So that was kind of the thread of my main campaign for Beyond Heroes, which we streamed for years. And this feels kind of like in that area of an undead nuclear bomb going off, and I'm very intimately familiar with that kind of terror. So having a portal open, I mean, that's a big plot point for a lot of things. I love opening portals to worlds we shouldn't have. I opened up a portal to Avernus, and I opened up a world to the Abyss where all the demons came pouring in to the primary material plane. So yeah, I'm just coming up with crazy stuff, but I feel like Brennan's going to drop something big. Ashley has been rolling pretty rough. Pretty rough. Can you imagine if the undead came pouring out, and that when the soldiers end up back at Dalmakiar, it's a zombie overtaking of the city? That would be nuts. But I don't think we're going in that direction, but I'm just saying. Yeah, Ashley's been having a rough time of it for the roles. And statistically, she's the strongest character in the game. Nothing for it, really. I almost want to fly to Critical Role and do a little bit, but they got Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford to give advice on the character sheets. I do love to optimize characters here and there, so I wouldn't say no to looking at character sheets and giving recommendations. I love helping build people's characters for them. If it helps them in some way. So, wow, thank you, Mark Stewart. I hope you can afford all this, man. I hope you're doing okay. Thank you for the $10 super chat. The Tachonis, I think New Octus was with Thaisha, although not where they were. So by going back to Never Ending Night will trigger him. Would Wick possibly feel this when dead start pouring out? I don't know if Wick would know. But I do like this theory that this is where things go way, way wrong. Keep in mind that Vaelus has a bow of enmity. Oh, man. Start using the bow. Yeah, rolling advantage in combat. I did not know that. I think it's such a part of Vaelus' character to be using that whip. Yeah, but let's all pray for Ashley's dice, really. like in a Tinkerbell way. Mark Stewart, I feel like Wick might be the key to stopping the undead. He is of the light. That's also true. We have two characters very at cross purposes. Wick may be, in fact, the key, and even Wick sacrificing himself could become a messianic figure by doing so in this world. And him moving on to a new character after that's transpired would be interesting. I have made undead angels. Oh, you meant Vow of Enmity, not Bow of Enmity. Ah, because, yeah, because Vaelus is a Vengeance Paladin. Yeah, I think she is forgetting that. I could be wrong. Yeah, they cannot let they're gonna let Grandpa Halavar out one day, and he's gonna have this weird Hulk smash moment. Maybe he'll fight the undead. Yeah, I think Wick's Grandpa getting loose will be absolutely hilarious. I agree. We are an hour and 20 minutes out. Oh, 13 damage on a crit with a whip is weird. It might be a juiced up whip, for sure. Charles 2450, how you doing? $2 super chat. Thanks so much. And good evening, everybody. Yeah, it would Vale Enmity. Vengeance Paladins are nasty as hell. Getting advantage on every attack roll you make is nuts. It's Vale Enmity is great. It's great. It's great paladin. Yeah, I think Grandpa Halavar will get sweet revenge on everybody. I agree, for sure. Still curious about why the Celestials all went nuts after the gods left. Also sus. Yeah, I feel like maybe they gave it whip stats, but because it's a sensor, it's got a little bit more oomph on it, or it's got so maybe it's a 1d6. That would account for the extra damage. I don't think Grandpa Halavar. I think Grandpa Halavar is going to eat everyone on his lawn. I think that's more likely. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's rough rolls, man. It's rough rolls. You might want to get some new dice. Use your resources in games. I've been in multiple combats where I didn't use the resources when I should have done them. So it's hard to resource hogging in D&D is sometimes an issue because you're afraid to use stuff. It's kind of like bardic inspiration and items like that. That is a problem that we've been trying to solve for, and we have. Sorry, a little bit of cough. Checking some stuff. Ugh. Okay. Got 224 viewers in chat right now. Thank you so much for hanging out. Yeah, we're just winding up. We're an hour and 15 minutes away from the main event. Yeah, they probably made it like a specialized piece of damage. For sure. I agree. Yeah, I think it's probably acting like a whip in terms of reach and then doing 2d6. I've been watching a lot of Night of the Seven Kingdoms, so I have a crazy night build right now. Because I'm trying to make the most optimized jousting knight in the game. I don't think we get enough of that in D&D. Certainly we have the Cavalier. I'm probably going to do a whole video on this topic, by the way, about how to make the coolest Cavalier in D&D. I think a lot of people are going to be inspired to do so. Got a couple of weird ideas. I got a real solid artificer jouster Obviously, Battlemaster is a fantastic knight as well. Paladins are still good because you can lay down a smite through your lance. So, and the weirdest would probably be Warlock because you could Eldritch Smite. Well, lances got the two-handed property, but I don't think that affects anything if it's a +1 weapon. I gotta think on that. Being able to do Eldritch Smite with a lance would be pretty interesting. I don't know why I'm going down this tangent. Anyways, Duncan the Tall, fantastic. Loving that show so much. So well acted, so well edited, so well shot. All-star cast. I'm not gonna spoil anything about the last episode, but like, oof. Oh man, what class would Egg be? I think he's a little bit bard at this moment. I mean, he's doing heroic inspiration. He's a very support class. Or he could be a little kid with the leadership feat where Egg is cheering him on and giving him some hit points. So if Egg was just a NPC, maybe Egg has the leadership feat and he can yell and scream and say get up and give someone temporary hit points. Or it is a I don't think Eloquence Bard. I think maybe a Lore Bard because Egg makes a lot of drops about lore. Yeah. The show's been amazing. I mean, I'm completely in love with the show. And that last episode is actually tied for the most popular show from Game of Thrones in terms of reviews on IMDb. So if that tells you how good the show is doing, it's doing pretty good. And someone actually made a very interesting point of we get to really spend time with Sir Duncan and Egg, and more so than you typically got to spend with characters from Game of Thrones because every episode is basically about them. I've not seen Pendragon. I'll check out Pendragon. But yeah, so I think this is going to be a big episode. I could see us having some type of Ocean of the Dead, some kind of House Tachonis undead nuclear bomb going off in this Forever Night area. I feel like the Tachonises are behind them having to go to this location. I feel like a lot of manipulations have led the Seekers to this moment. Yeah, Egg does look like a monk. I get that. Todd Kenrick, if you guest played Wick's grandma, would you want to play her? If someone guest played Wick's grandma, who would you want to see play her? Oof. Olivia Cole, which Secret War is terrible. But Olivia Cole is in The Night Manager, fantastic British act. Oh, is it Angela Cole? No, well, Olivia Cole is amazing and is great at spy shit and giving creepy monologues. So I think that would be a pretty awesome grandma to have in Olivia Cole. Yeah, look up Olivia Cole. Yeah, Olivia Cole feels like she could give those speeches that we've seen so far. So that's my call. Olivia Colman. Thank you. I knew I was getting something wrong there. I appreciate you. Hey, we're 7 out of 10 of our streaming goal. That's not bad. We'll get there. Anjali would make another really great addition as a surprise character, for sure. She can nail that voice in a heartbeat. We got 228 people. I think we're going to get 300 today. What are everyone else's theories so far? Todd Kenrick should play Tyranny's father. Jesus. I have played the devil multiple times, or a devilish character, so that wouldn't be too much of a stretch, for sure. What am I looking for here? Looking at my notes. Yeah, I think we all came to the conclusion that was an improv moment between Brennan and really Ashley Johnson as a Vaelus, because there was such a high roll that something is going on with Aranessa. Though Aranessa taking off right before they go into the area of Forever Night could also be a setup. I'm not saying it is, but it could be sus. We don't know for sure. So, yep, it's definitely something that can be a concern. So, yeah. What else are we thinking today? Oh, are we talking about what you get to play? Yeah, most people play one-shots. It's definitely a thing. Charles from 2450. Oh, thank you so much. Sorry, I was checking chat. Charles 2450 bets on whether Tachonis, whether Octus's follower will betray him. Yes, or the character is going to die in some unceremonious way. That character is still pretty sus into what their actions were here at the end of the game. The last episode. I think we don't want too many NPCs hanging out the group. I think NPCs who are hanging out with everybody are always kind of an issue. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not thinking Octus's follower is leaving the land of eternal night. No. I am concerned about what happens when they run into more family. Todd Kenrick cold open. Luis was so good. Yeah, it frickin' broke my heart. If you interview him, I hope you talk about Tales Unrolled. I will do so. Alma, where he DM'd. It was amazing. I will do so. I will bring that up. I got to work with Luis Carazo on the Lego D&D game. It did quite well. So Luis is a joy and a wonderful human being. Had a great time with him. I fear for Thaisha, since she went down last time for being reckless when Octus was in danger for her son. She will fall right into a trap. That would be dark. And Hal, I don't know what that would do to Hal. I think Halden Fang will go a little bonkers if that was the case. Just definitely leans into tragedy. Can you imagine if Hal lost both his former wife and also son? Oof. Yeah. Boy, that scene, I will say the biggest banger of a cold open still goes to Bolaire. What a... does anyone know how long that was? That was insane. Oh, thank you for sending the Talk Henrik gift memberships. I appreciate you. Thank you, generally just Jupiter. I appreciate that. That's always a huge help to people in chat. That was a pretty banger of an episode, and such a short amount of time to convey so much. Was fascinating, and I've loved all the cold opens actually. Bolaire's was just absolutely wild. High fantasy, loved it. So I thought it was a banger. Yeah, Thaisha could be in a lot of trouble. I agree. I think we're losing people. Certainly, we're losing a lot of NPCs. I don't know if we'll lose a PC this game. I think it's pretty dark. I think it's trap. That's my opinion. I mean, even being chased by those undead creatures could have just been them trying to spur them on, not think rationally about things. Hub Trucks, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Ty Kenrick, any interview with Lore Keeper Danny would be welcome. About the show so far, yeah, I actually need to reach out about interviewing Danny. I think that would be fantastic. It'd be great to have Danny on the show, or just do a separate interview about the show. I think it would be super fun. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Yeah, 100%. I think it's a trap. I'll be happy if it's not. Happy to be wrong. I just have a very schemery dungeon master mind sometimes. So is it something I would do? Yeah, 100%. I would do something like this to them. For sure. Got 220 people in chat. Oh, hey, we had our goal. Thank you, Hub Trucks. Thank you so much for the $1.09 super chat. I appreciate you. Yeah, I think the show does need a theory tracker for sure, so it can be accountable of all the weird, all my weird plot lines, all our weird theories from the very first episode up till now. There's plenty on the bingo card of like we think this thing might be happening, and we don't necessarily know that to be true, but it could be true. So, I think a theory tracker would be pretty cool. Yeah, it's not just a trap. It's a biblical moment of undead. Cassie's 335. It's gonna be a thing. I am deeply concerned and worried. All right, this is our last goal that we're doing today, I think. Thank you everyone for being in chat and being so supportive of the stream every single week. I am humbled by all of you. This is starting to remind me of One Piece. Yeah, there's a little bit of that element to this show for sure. Yeah, I'm excited for any new experimental show. Really drawn well. Seems really fun to me. Oh, really well drawn. Sorry. I was thinking the new live play show. I would like a map. I would like a map at this point. I would like a really cool... I would love a map being drawn in process. I think that would be pretty cool. Yeah, Octus could be a Trojan horse this entire time. Yeah, I think an ever-evolving map would be really cool. If I was to actually do a live play show, that's absolutely what I would do. Thank you so much, Zibidi Selmel, $5 super chat. Was Mara the Wing? Yeah, Mara the Wing, the bird that flew over Thiazi's hanging? We don't know. And did she save his soul? That's what we don't know, and we're still trying to figure out what all that meant. We have so much lore in this show that has not completely connected yet. I feel like Brennan must just have sticky notes and string everywhere. Somewhere in his apartment. That's my suspicion. Oh yeah, this campaign will be over before One Piece is. Someone need to play the new cartographer artificer. That would be pretty funny. If it was actually the map drawn by one of the characters, would be pretty fun and cool. Especially if that character was new. Like if it was like Tyranny or something, or a new demon that was completely new to this environment, slowly categorizing it. Actually, that's a pretty good hook for a live play show where they're not even from that world. Did I hear about the Game of Thrones Robert's Rebellion prequel play? No, I didn't know anything about this. I will have to... Oof, that's cool. Oh, I think I did hear... I did hear something about this leading up to the Mad King. Yeah, that might be interesting. Though, are we de-aging some of the cast? I don't know. But if Octus just being in the Eternal Night, I think Octus being in the Eternal Night is not. It's something is going to be bad about it. Yeah, I agree. The bird stuff is a little weird, and that could be a connection to the dogs. That the birds themselves are actually reincarnated on top of that, or maybe that falcon in particular was recognized. Or reincarnation happens instantly, or somehow it was a sign of death that being part of the Falconer's Rebellion, his soul would be popping into the Falcon? I'm not quite sure. Yeah, birds are Brennan's meme. Crows are mine. Crows and ravens and corvids are like my specialty. So in that regard, Brennan and I have a lot in common when it comes to weird bird facts. So... we are officially 1 hour out. We are at 233 people. I think we'll get to 300 before we get done. Always nice to have a goal. I appreciate one in chat. If you are new to the chat, we have a bunch of really smart, incredible people from all over the world, all talking about Critical Role. We sit here and we give our conspiracy theories. We kind of bounce ideas off of each other. I've been covering Critical Role for 10 years now, since Campaign 1. I've been doing interviews with the cast. I've been doing... I even did live play shows set in the world of Exandria, which was pretty funny, with permission. And then... no, in Wildmount. Checking the math on this right now. Yes. And then... I've interviewed people about the anime and everything else. So yeah, I've been covering Critical Role for 10 years, and now we got this little show where we get to do a little bit of pre-show and kind of get jazzed about the upcoming episode that we got going on right now. So we've been discussing a lot of things. I did a recap previously. Certainly a more role-playing heavy episode that we didn't need to recap too much on. But still, our going theory in chat right now is that this is going to be some kind of undead apocalyptic event that Octus somehow is going to trigger once he goes into this area. We think, some of us think that the Tachonis sisters have been engineering the situation in this entire time. So there's a lot of, and could this be true? Yeah, it could be true, or it could be wildly untrue. Thaisha's son coming back as the Hound of Tiffany would be pretty wild. Yeah. Yeah, so we were in Wild Mountain. I even had like a little crossover moments and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. So that's where we're kind of at now in terms of what our theories are. We're curious about what your theories are. Go ahead and shout them out into chat. Super chats help the stream. But if you don't have money, that's 100% okay. You can like, subscribe, leave a comment, share the fact that the stream even exists to other people. How many level ups, Charles, 2450? How many level ups did the soldiers have? Just one. They only had the one level up. So I think after this episode, next week, probably Wednesday, we'd have a 20-minute episode. 20-minute VOD drop of them preparing their characters for level up is what I suspect. Yeah. And we're about that time, and I think those level ups will happen during the combat to make it more dramatic. That we'll find at the end of this episode. I think we'll have a halfway mark for combat. Half of this episode will be combat. half of the next episode may be combat. That's my kind of theory right now. Could be wrong. We got 230 people. We're climbing. We're going up. Murray, yeah, I think most of us are landing on Murray. Might be due for another flashback for sure in the cold open, so I could see that. I don't think anyone else, but and we called Azune. We've called a lot of the cold opens actually, for sure. So pretty proud of us in that regard. Oh man, but yeah, we got people in Australia, we got people in South Africa, we got people from all over the world, we got people in Japan who are in the future. Lots going on today in the world. We got people all over the place. You'd love to see it. Are you hub trucks? Oh, you're talking to hub trucks. Okay, good. I'm not sure Ernest is going to make it either. That could be an off-screen death. We'll see. Yeah, I think that's valid. Do we think Julian's shade haunting him gets revealed in the underworld? That would be pretty cool. I do suspect something is going... I think there's going to be a very specific narrative thing that happens when Julien hits level 3 and turns into a full-blooded Echo Knight, I believe. Mark Stewart, cold open the final days of the Shapers. That would be wild. The final days of the Shapers as... Can you imagine if we had a cold open that was not with the cast? I'd totally do it. I would have guest stars only for a cold open showing the end of the Shapers. The gods. Can you imagine if we had a... the Shaper gods are a completely different cast, and this whole time there's 3 tables, and here's this other table that went through a one-shot. Oh my god, this is a good idea, actually. This is what would be really cool if they had done this. If you had just done another show that was like a 1 hour, like a one shot that was 3 or 4 hours where they're all playing the different Shaper gods and they get killed, and then we cut to them periodically in the cold opens or in the middle of episodes to give you reference to how we got here. That would be some wild editing in putting the show together, I would say. I would totally do that. Yeah, that'd be dope. Just, it's like Anjali. It's like, yeah, it's all these other people that have been on Critical Role before. Maybe some surprise people from Dimension 20. That would be cool. Sorry, I'm really into this idea. Maybe some celebrity guests really throw us off our game, and always be suspicious. Charles2450, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. That's huge. Rather stormy night here tonight, and my connection's starting to fail. Oh, I lost my internet today, but that was because Comcast was updating my connection. So I will have to take off a bit early. As usual, have a fun show and enjoy everyone. Thank you so much, Charles2450. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. That's very, very kind. I think Secret Fourth Table would be the coolest. That's one of my favorite ideas I've come up with. Yeah, have Deborah Ann Wall in there. Man, Secret God Table. Secret God Table would be cool. Yeah. Man, I don't think it's going to be true, but man, you start off in the cold open with a whole different table. Everyone's going to just crap themselves. Yeah, I think I'd want to produce it myself right now. I really like out of the box thinking. That's why I did the Suicide Squad type live play show. It did really well. It was Legends of the Multiverse. Our last guest star was Matt Mercer as Boo. We didn't even advertise that Matt was going to be in it. And so I had different ideas for the second season of that show that was going to be even crazier and kind of exhausting. But yeah. Yeah, I think that could be really fun. Secret fourth table. Kill one of these tables, and then there's a fourth table. So those are my wildest ideas. Like, kill a table, send them to the underworld, or we don't see them ever again. Just a TPK, and we've just lost this entire group. And then we've got another table that kind of gets inserted into the situation. Another crazy thing that could happen. I really like Secret Fourth Table. I think I may have to text someone that. God, that would be fun. I cannot stop thinking about it. It's one of those ideas you can't stop thinking about once you've said it. So we are 45 minutes out. We got 217 people watching, or 230. The numbers are kind of fluctuating pretty wildly today. As always, one of the best ways you can support the stream is to let other critters know on Facebook, on Reddit, that we've got a pre-show here. That is always the most helpful thing that you can do for the pre-show as we warm up. And yeah, we could have Lou Wilson, Chris Perkins, Jeremy Crawford as celebrity guests, all as different gods of that world. Would be pretty cool. And other Critical Role alums, Dimension 20 alums could fit into there pretty nicely. Yeah, other voice actors, pretty cool. Can you imagine if the cast of Baldur's Gate was one of the different tables playing gods? Also could be really wild. I do a lot of really nutty things. If I had the power of Brennan Mulligan and the power of Critical Role combined, I would do some pretty off-the-wall stuff to subvert people's expectations. So you get Neil Newbon as a guest appearance, things like that. I think could be insanely fun. So yeah, I think that's my favorite current wildest theory. So I can't think of anything that is as banger of a theory like that, but like, so Secret Fourth Table would be fun. Undead nuclear bomb, also fun. Yeah, yes, I'll 100% pitch it. Yeah, so many ideas, still a little time and money. Yeah, it's a lot of time too, but how fun to check in with a fourth table every once in a while with the gods and how they died and the events leading up to those moments. Pretty interesting. Yeah. It'd be a hell of a way to find out that one of the secret fourth table would be a hell of a way to find out that one of the gods. Okay, so this is what I would do. Secret fourth table would be a table of the Shapers, all-star cast, and they keep complaining that one of them has not shown up to this meeting of the Shapers. And then when that person does finally show up, maybe a couple of cold opens in, the reveal is it's one of the members of the current tables, that we secretly have a god amongst them. That secretly someone who shows up at the table is like someone we haven't seen their past of. Or someone with fake memories like Vaelus. Or it's Bolaire. Yeah, Bolaire shows up. It's Taliesin playing him. And so it's kind of that Battlestar Galactica mic drop moment where you're like, oh god, they are amongst us. Secret fourth table. I love the secret fourth table conspiracy. Can you imagine if I'm right and it happened tonight? My mind would be blown. We are 45 minutes out. Thank you everybody for being part of chat as always. Hey, the best thing you can do to support the stream, drop links in Reddit or Facebook groups. Let your friends know who are also critters. That's how we grow the stream and benefit everybody else. Everyone's super giving in here, giving out gift subs and everything else. All of that stuff is infinitely helpful. So I appreciate everyone here. Yeah, I think Taliesin would be the one we would suspect the most, for sure. I love how wild we've gone with the theories. So. A wild Megan has arrived. I think I should stop having green tea. That's my suspicion. Goddess Murray, that'd be pretty wild. Well, it's Wolfric. Wolfric is the secret god. That would be pretty funny as well. Thank you always, as everyone. We also appreciate supporting us on Patreon. We got a lot of different membership options on Patreon. That's something you can do. But you can also drop a super chat here. You can gift subs to everybody else. That helps everyone who's in chat right now. That's the kind of stuff that helps. Also, like I said, sharing super helps as well. Tahor being a god would be pretty wild. I think that's pretty nuts. So, bringing it back down beyond secret fourth table, I think we could be looking at. I think this is a trap. I'll be happy if I'm wrong. But I feel like this is kind of the mic drop, Act 2 kind of situation that we run into. Yeah, I still don't know what's going on with Tahor and that fairy magic. Tahor is sus. Vaelus could be sus. Imagine if Vaelus's memories were all false. Another Tyranny cold open would be fun. I would like to learn more lore about demons and whatever is going on with sewing people's shadows into other people. That stuff is bizarre. One second. That's my wife, everybody. I'm watching the feedback loop that is the live stream. A wild wifey appears. I don't know why my monitor is locked at 230. Streamlabs must be having trouble right now. What are the other theories? Everyone, yeah, thank you for the hearts. Yeah, my wife is pretty freaking amazing. So, oh, we got 100. Whoa, what? What? I'm checking something right now in chat. I got 36 people watching on the shorts. We appreciate all of you there as well. I went to that. Do I have to do this in both chats? That's interesting. Okay. Seems like extra steps, but I don't know. We're 100% getting combat tonight. That's my call. I'm saying we're 100% getting combat tonight. Maybe that combat gets resolved early into the episode after this one. And I think they'll be in combat. I think it could potentially be so much combat in the situation that they're going. Though they themselves are the Seekers, and combat isn't necessarily the thing they as a group are the most interested in. They're most interested in the Seekers. I mean, into finding out new information, discovering things about this world, and they're going right into the most discoverable part of the world. So that could be the thing that happens. So I could be wrong about the combat. It could just be they have to bear witness to some pretty dramatically intense events that occur, and I could see that happening as well. 100%. Yeah, now I'm thinking about more. I mean, if because they talked about what people were most interested in. We have the soldiers table. They saw plenty of combat. The schemers, they like the scheming of things. They don't necessarily want to be in overt combat. So the seekers themselves haven't been. They may have already hit their combat fill. Potentially. I feel like it's combat though. I feel like they're still getting into combat. I think there's going to be big lore drops. They got to fight their way out, but the whole point isn't to overcome. The point may be to survive. I think that might be something that we're going to see in this next episode. It's just really the survival of the fittest kind of situation when in regards to everybody. So that could be how this goes down. Yeah, I am curious. I'm curious if we'll really see a true separation, because the soldiers table had lots of seeking, I would argue, in terms of the nature of the universe when it comes to the Feywild and a bunch of other things, the nature of belief and the magical items that Thimble is using. I think that's all very seekery stuff. So I wonder if there's like a really true cut and dry delineation. I can't say that word very well. Between these three tables, as much as we kind of felt there would be. Yeah, I'm pretty curious. Yeah, and they've only had one real fight. But if you're going into a place filled with undead, I want Skinner's revenge. I believe in Skinner. I believe in Skinner too. I think Skinner's been following them this whole time. Can you imagine if Skinner had been following them this whole time like it follows, and then like just yanks one of them? Yeah, I think we're going to see people moving from table to table pretty soon, especially with the soldiers table coming back to Del Markyar. We may see even this table come back to Del Markyar all at the same time, along with and reunite to the schemers table. I think Del Markyar is still the kind of the hero city of this entire world. So they could be popping back for sure. We are 35 minutes out, everybody. I put my hat in you is one of the most disturbing things I've ever heard come out of Brennan Lee Mulligan. Right up there with the Sauron speech from Trump. That was also pretty alarming. That was amazing. So yeah, I'm very curious how this plays out. I almost wish we did a post stream. I don't think I have the energy to do that, and I think everybody else here would be sleeping. But maybe, yeah, maybe I'll stream on the weekend or something like that to catch up if it's a big drop. I don't know. I've been hit and miss on doing reaction videos. You gotta watch out for Skinner. I'm telling you, I think Skinner is the big bad of the show. I once created one of the characters killed a god, and I kind of adjudicated that was technically a murder, and that god had a red cap come out of them, and so this was a red cap with godlike powers, which is pretty disturbing. We are at 6:27. We're basically effectively 30 minutes out. I'm really excited. I think we've had some wild theories in chat. I think we got to start pinning those in the comments. Maybe we'll start using the comments section. Well, we don't have comments on live streams. Do we have comments already available? I don't think so. Yeah, it's just chats. Maybe we start pinning those. I don't think we're going to meet our goal for the stream, but that's totally fine. It's totally okay. But I think pinning comments in the future will do well. Yeah. I think conspiracies like that will be fun. Laws are threats. Yeah. That is wild one. That red cap is a gold cap. God cap. Thank you, Mark Stewart. I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. We've got 221 people in the stream. We are ramping up to not the final episode. The penteplet? I don't know what that word is. Episode before we leave the Seekers from some time. It feels like we've barely been with the Seekers for some reason. Maybe that's just the kind of flow of time and how that's working. But yeah. Another wild Megan. Arr! Oh man, you're right. I need to get on that Discord. That's all on me. I'm gonna get that done.
Isn't it shutting down?
I'm on chat. No, it's not. Oh, big shout out to Jacob for the $10 Patreon membership. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. I know that's not in the chat, but that just happened. That's huge. I think the Soldiers Table is going... J Habit, I think the Soldiers Table is going to cut into the Seekers time frame, so we get a shorter Seekers Table. That could potentially happen, yeah. I see that. Right now, the smart money is on a Murray flashback of some kind. So we'll see if we're right again. Everybody here was right about Azune having a flashback, so that's very possible and likely. Yeah, the holiday break definitely put weeks on things, so it did feel a little bit longer because of that. That's for sure. Yeah, it just feels like... And the thing is, the Soldiers Table had wildly long episodes. Right? Like, those were long episodes. Thank you so much, AM Rosa 10. It's Thursday, everyone. Enjoy yourselves. I agree. It's a good time to pop some popcorn. Hold your butts. Avoid the castle, apparently. I still can't. I'm still laughing about Julien and Thaisha. Their interactions in the last episode were absolutely gold. I could not stop dying. I mean, I couldn't stop laughing. Some of the funniest moments in the entire game. Going to be crazy to animate in an anime. I think form will be really funny to see as well. Yeah, for sure. So. What else am I thinking? So, I think Undead Apocalypse still, for sure. I'd like to get a little bit more insight into Murray. Baby Wick would be a bizarre flashback. Yeah. Kattigan could get cold open as well. We've gotten a couple of flashbacks from Ashley Johnson already, so I think they're gonna hold off on a Ashley cold open again, and she already had another flashback previously, so last episode. Oh, Wick and his girlfriend would be funny. Again, Secret Fourth Table would be a banger. Do a cold open with a whole different group. Absolutely wild. I think that would be a wild thing to do. Am I missing anything to it? I don't think we need a recap. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of weird conjecture having to do with Wikander's girlfriend. That whole scenario seems to be it feels like there's something going on there. And I feel like we can get so much more lore about God, is it too soon for a Tyranny cold open again? I don't know. Oh, it's called Castle Torch. Yeah, they're not going to do a cold open for the Seekers. And while they're at the Seekers table, that would be a little bit weird. And they've already been doing flashbacks mid-episode while they're at the table for their respective groups. So, yeah, I think that's unlikely. And a little bit at cross purposes because the cold opens are really kind of meant to remind you that the other tables exist and refresh your memory about the other characters. Keep them alive in your minds. Have a sense of presence during these episodes in a different way. So yeah, Tyranny and her father would be a wild cold open for sure. Yeah, I agree. Wolfric cold open would be hilarious. I think we could see a character die. I always think we could see a character die. I think this is a potentially very lethal encounter. Or and again, I'm a little suspicious as to how this party has gone to this Forever Night location. If this is all a plot of the Tachonis family in the end is something I'm a bit worried about, that they've been manipulated into this particular situation. I mean, what if even the vision was handed to them through manipulation of some kind to Octus? What if that was a false vision that led them to this very precarious situation? I think all bets are really off on this episode. Might be lighter in combat than I suspected. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm ready. Oh yeah, Julien Castle Torch cold open would be pretty cool. I think I'm ready. Yeah, I like the pacing of these tables, and I think I am ready to see how the schemers are doing in earnest and what they get up to and how they're progressing on subverting the other houses and stuff like that. Kattigan cold open definitely in the cards. I think you're right. Um, yeah. So I'm trying to think of anything else. We've gone through a lot of theories in the last 3 hours. So I don't think Aranessa is up to no good. I think that was largely kind of improv between Ashley Johnson and Brandley Mulligan. Though, could be sus that Aranessa decided to bug out at the last minute. Todd always thinks that someone's going to die. Yeah, that's true. I don't say that every episode, actually. When that handmaiden got her head smashed in, I was concerned. That seemed like a volatile situation. So, Hub Trucks, $1.99, Tyranny cold open with the sisters, played by guests. That would be nuts. That'd be really fun. I could potentially see that, but yeah, I think that's on the far outside, but that could be pretty fun. Getting more insights into, I think like I said, the getting more insights into the demons, I think would be deeply exciting. Dispel logic, do you think that for Bolaire, it's like a person immersing themselves in a video game, like a survival game where the body tells him feelings, but he never fully does? Yeah, I think it's a little bit like that for Bolaire. Bolaire has clearly a very moralistic disconnect also with what morality actually truly is. AKA Flop A5, time-wise, it is possible for the Demon Sisters and the soldiers could arrive back in time to meet each other. Yep, that's true. That is also true. I think we're going to see, like I said, more dramatic irony coming up very soon. Hopefully we'll see cross-pollination between the tables or villains bouncing between the tables and how they're interacting. We still don't know where the invisible Tachonis is. So from the soldiers table, remember that woman with the skull tattooed on her face. What if she's already there? What if they run into her in this episode? What if the invisible Tachonis meets up with the twins in this area of Forever Night? And that's when we get into the real rough stuff in terms of combat. Do you think we'll ever get an updated Octus undead portrait? I mean, if he gets more sickly looking, yeah, we might. Todd Kenrick need more how demons are existing but without the Shapers. I'm very curious about that stuff as well. Demons seem to be completely independent from the Shapers, whereas the Celestials went completely rapid, which is strange and inconsistent. I'm still very suspicious about the very nature of what the Celestials are. Brennan doing a scene with himself? Do you mean like in a kind of Gollum-esque kind of moment? That would be pretty fine. Mark Stewart with the super chat. Thank you for the $5 super chat. You could have another face-off between Julien and another Tachonis to protect Octus. Could be very well. I do feel like we do have this brilliant MacGuffin in the fact that we have this this one woman Tachonis with the tattooed skull face just wandering around out there. They could run into her in this episode. I think that's entirely a possibility at this point. We are 20 minutes out. Hey, everybody, jumping into chat right now. We appreciate you. We are 20 minutes out from the main show. We appreciate you jumping in. Shout out if you're new to chat. We're just hanging out, flinging conspiracy theories about tonight, right before the show begins. Just checking chat out. Yeah, we're almost there. We're getting there. We're getting there. I don't know why my Streamlabs is so fried today. I'm lucky. I almost didn't do the episode. I almost didn't do the pre-show because we didn't have internet. Comcast was updating my internet for the entire neighborhood, so got a little... Skeletor is in the Shadow Zone. Would be surprising. He-Man crossover with the world of Ahriman would be pretty strange. Yeah, they might be too far away from each other, though Dimension Door is a sucker. Or teleportation circle. Primus is my current suspect for being the big bad, maybe not for the entire campaign. Yeah, I tend to do layered villains where it's a boss of a boss villain. So you kill the initial villain that you introduce in the storyline, and then you run into the big villain. Or it's a situation where you have Darth Vader and then you have the Emperor. You kind of have two tiers of villainy, one being the ultimate villain. In the end, that's something that's pretty common in narratives. I still am holding out hope that one of these characters is a villain, and we don't know it. You know, the conspiracy theory in me always loves that stuff. I once played a villain in a cyberpunk game, and I was one of the players, and I was the one funding our illegal missions and sending them on them. This took so much work; it was exhausting, and mostly it became a game of me having to like keep track of the money I was paying the other players. The players didn't know I was the guy hiring them to do these jobs. It was actually very meta. I don't know if meta is the word. It was I was playing a whole different video game than they were. Basically, a whole different tabletop game. I had basically written myself into. I don't think they're going to be doing any plane hopping, but teleportation circle could certainly send them around the world pretty rapidly. Cyberpunk's a great game. I need to get back into the video game. That's such an immersive experience. I really, especially with all the bugs are now fixed. Yeah, I mean, Taliesin clearly is at least an aspect of the trickster god, in my opinion, and so are all the masks potentially. I think that can be a concern. We are 15 minutes out to the main event. Thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate it. We got 228 people in chat right now. Thank you for showing up. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We got super chats. We got the whole thing. Thank you for supporting the stream, as always. Cyberpunk Tabletop is a lot of fun. Video game was a ton of fun as well. Really captured the vibe of Cyberpunk. I played a lot of Cyberpunk. It was one of my favorite games right there with Vampire Masquerade and D&D. I have the new starter set. I haven't been able to play it, but I do have it. So Cyberpunk's pretty cool. But yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Come back to this video. Hey, you know what? Find this live stream and leave comments about what we got right, because we had some pretty wild theories in this chat, and I'm very curious if they come to fruition. Yeah, I'll have to check out running the jump starter kit for sure. So we're 15 minutes out right now. I still think apocalypse. This could be an apocalyptic event. Maybe it's too soon in the campaign for something that deadly. Maybe they're gonna draw things out a little bit more than that. I honestly don't know. But Act 2 always feels like a mic drop moment, and this is kind of in the Act 2 scenario potentially. So I don't know. It feels like they're taking a very I think House Tachonis is kind of an undead bomb, and they're taking him into like the most dangerous location to rip a teleport, not a teleport, but a portal to the world of the undead, so they can come pouring out into a forever night type of location. Oh, Brennan very specifically said Misty's Step is the only teleportation left after the Shapers died. Fascinating. I did not remember that. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you, everyone, for being in a chat. I appreciate you. We've got 225 people watching. Thank you so much for being here. Here at the end of all things. No. Yeah, I think Apocalypse is definitely on the menu. Thank you, Hub Trucks, for the $1.99 super chat. Yeah, we are kind of suspecting that Bolaire could be, in fact, a shaper. We have a lot of suspicions. Yeah, it could be a middle act. And then we have to look at the larger story that is happening right now. This is probably a 2 to 3 year campaign, so really the true second act is maybe another 3 months from now. Ish. Wouldn't say a year, but I feel like around 6 month mark, something really nasty could go down in terms of the storyline. We got 233 people here. We're like growing numbers. We should be losing numbers. Thank you everyone for popping in. We've got some of the coolest critters here. They're super informative. We're bouncing off conspiracy theories, doing recaps in the stream ahead of time. I am looking to do some character builds, building characters for people who want to live in the world of Ahriman for fun. I think that'd be a fun thing to do on the stream as well. So it is something I'm very well known for. I do a lot of character builds. So thank you for hopping in chat. I know we're all excited. I think this is going to be a banger of an episode. Certainly a lot of lore drops, if not some exceptionally deadly combat. We'll have to see. Deadly, I mean, by necessity, because we'll see a lot of undead. But I feel like I got a bad feeling about this show. That's about this episode. I know that I say that all the time, but this could be the one. This could be the scary one, everybody. Yeah, we don't think that Hub Trucks. We don't think that Bolaire is completely a shaper. He just may be the fragment. Yeah, it's episode 16, Mario. It is nuts that is already. We're already at this point, and when you think about it, like 16 times 3 or 4 or 5, I mean that's 50 hours plus of Ahriman content. That's multiple seasons of a TV show already that we've gotten. Yeah, I wonder if we'll get any more insights into Thaysi's greater plan. We really just don't know enough about what's going on about that. Todd, congrats again on the new job. Thank you so much. I am a little less nervous about life. Can you tell us what you're going to be doing at D&D in the Castle, or is that hush hush? I'm just part of D&D in the Castle in general. I'm really focused on video content right now. Yeah, I think D&D in the Castle is super cool. How can you not? If you, like I said, if you told me when I was 8 years old, I'd be working on D&D and also something related to castles, I would call you a liar. I'd be deeply confused about the nature of the world. All that stuff. Well, I apologize. I have to skedaddle. Actually, I'm going to call from a family member. So I appreciate all of you. I hope you have a great day. I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the super chats. Have a great day.